All right, I have written down here, and again, maybe I'm using over the top language here, but I have written down disgraceful officiating. I know the crowd felt that, Don. What were your thoughts on the overturned catch that was not by Tyrone Tracy?
Yeah, it was confusing to anybody in the stadium. I think it was even confusing to Coach Ferentz. He's trying to figure out what's going on too. I could see Kirk's expression on his face even was, it was one of those "you got to be kidding me" expressions. Of course, he didn't yell and scream and berate the officials, but you could tell he was, let's say, disappointed with the way the whole thing was handled. I'm sitting here looking too. Penalties, as you I'm sure expect to hear. We were flagged 8 times for 73 yards. It's bad to say, but we were penalized more so than our opponent today. So that's unfortunate that we got flagged that many times. That's an area where we've generally been winning.
And so that rule that basically, again, I don't know how you overturn the call. I don't know how much you saw in the replay of that Tracy catch, Don, but of course it was showed on the television set several times on Big Ten Network. I don't know how you overturn a catch on the field. I mean, to me, and again, maybe I'm looking at this incorrectly, but to me, Tracy never actually lost full control of the ball until he rolled over, and the ball never actually was out of control on the ground. It looked like the ball moved, but it was after he had rolled on his back and then he recovered the football again.
Yeah, I think they refer to it as maybe this is NFL. I'm not sure if it's college or pro, but they refer to it sometimes as making a move with possession of the ball.
Yeah.
It looked to me like Tracy possessed the ball. He made a move with that ball possessed. And then as he was going to the ground, you might wonder if for a split second he lost control and the tip of the ball hit the ground. Well, the way I saw it, it had clearly already been caught. And it was odd to me that it would be anything other than a question of, well, if it came out, it certainly wasn't incomplete. It was maybe a fumble, but it was a fumble that he never lost. It was a ball he bobbled for a split second after he possessed it, and then he possessed it all over again. That's how I saw it. I will admit though, and I'm curious. They never showed the replay in the stadium. Our goal line stand. It looked like to me. Now I wasn't down the goal line, but my perception is he really did break the plane of the goal line. I don't know what the replay showed because they never showed the replay on the big board today.
I
How
don't
did it look?
believe he did, Don.
He was short.
I believe he
Good.
was short, and he was definitely not down by contact.
Gotcha. Well, the thing I appreciate, and I don't even know who the heroes were on that play because they never showed the replay. But what is so exciting for me, it reinforces with the defense that football really is a game of inches, and it doesn't matter if they're on the 1 inch yard line; they still have to find a way to gain that last inch. And if we're doing our jobs well, they may not be able to do it, and that's what we saw in that play.
And that was actually so. Justin Jacobs, the play-by-play guy, was talking about that on Big Ten Network. Justin Jacobs was actually credited with the fumble, but it was actually caused by Jack Campbell. But it was just to me, it was a bonehead decision to try to reach the ball over his head backwards towards the goal line, and I don't believe it was. Was it
It was
maybe
Notre
second
Dame.
down?
I think it was either first or second down.
It was just a bonehead decision on the part of the ball carrier.
Yeah, you're right. They had
And
at least one more down, maybe two.
I had another note here written down about the officiating. So the Tracy catch that was overturned, a couple plays later, there was so again with the mindset that you have to obviously make a football move after controlling the ball. There was a play just a couple plays later, and it might have been Nykeem Johnson for Kent State, but he had caught the ball, and as he got pushed out of bounds, the ball kind of popped up, and he was able to regain control, and it was never looked at. And I called it right away. I said that's the pot calling the kettle black. Why are we not looking at that play? And they never looked at it. Of course, that issue, and you mentioned the NFL. We mentioned this earlier in the show. The Calvin Johnson rule, as a lot of people know that rule to be, at least from the NFL level. And I don't know again the details, the differences between a college catch in that regard versus an NFL catch.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but it's safe to say that we had a great effort on the goal line, and let's back up and recognize this too, Corey. If I'm not mistaken, at that moment it was 16-7, I believe, and I remember thinking, well, it's going to be a chip shot field goal at the worst. And
right.
at that point, it's a one-score game. It's a one-score game whether they go for 3 or 6. So it's going to get interesting here. I think that was what, late third quarter, I guess. Was that even fourth quarter?
That was not fourth quarter. It
That
would have
was
been
late third, yeah, because they were driving to the north.
yeah.
Uh, Here's a key stat that comes to mind that definitely made a difference in the game. Sacks. One team had 7 sacks, the other team none. And the beauty of that, you might say, well, 7 sacks for minus 39. What's the big deal? In general, it would be really interesting, Corey, to look at an entire football season and ask this question after a sack: did that team or did they not make a first down? Because I guarantee you, if there's a sack involved in any particular possession, the odds of them gaining a new set of downs have gone down considerably. Now, obviously, it might depend on how much sack yardage there was on that particular play. But in general, a sack is a drive killer, in general. Sometimes teams overcome it, of course, but so often they do not.
And Don, one thing that, as far as the sack issues are concerned, or at least the issues that were last week, that gave me a better feeling about this line as well. Again, the run game seemed to be working better, but Petrus was protected and made better decisions not taking sacks. We talked about how much of an issue that was during the Iowa State game. Sacks at bad times. That was improved this week, it seemed.
Yes, it was. And there was a time or two where a week ago he might have tried to escape out of the back of the pocket, and he clearly was more likely this week to step up in the pocket. I think he understood, if I feel a little heat off the edge, I need to step up within the pocket. I might need to slide left or right. That's true. But the bottom line is I can't assume that I can just break contain because I'm not quite that athletic to be able to do so.
Okay, Don. This might, I think I know what response you're going to give me, but we'll see. So Iowa has 4th and 4. They try to draw, can't say it, offsides. Stop me if you know where I'm going. And of course, they end up faking the punt. Torrey Taylor throws it. It was a good throw to Sam Laporta, but it was a 4-yard, 3-yard out route.
We needed 9 yards, for Christ's sake.
With no option down the field.
I was campaigning for a 55-yard field goal attempt. I think it's entirely possible that Shudak would make it.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that would have been 55 before the penalty or after?
55 before the penalty, as I recall.
Okay. So
after the penalty, we were out of field goal range.
Why take the penalty? Why not just call a timeout? Is it really going to give away the fake if you don't take the penalty? I don't think that gives away the fake, does it?
I don't have any issue with trying to draw them offside. Of course, you got to be a little on the stupid side to get caught nowadays because it should be drilled in your head. They need less than 5. You have to be sure that you're not learning to jump it offside. But the right play at that point in time, and we simply had an expression for it, to try to draw them offside, the huddle call used to be feet in cement. Feet in cement. That kind of describes what you need to do as an offensive player. Feet in cement, there were 2 kinds of calls. Feet in cement or feet in cement, timeout. Feet in cement, timeout meant we're going to try to draw them offside. Quarterback, you be sure, or for that matter, of course, the coach can call a timeout on the sideline. Let's be sure that we don't end up having to take the delay because we want to go ahead and kick from the same yard line. We want to kick from whatever it was. What would it have been? If the ball spotted 45 yards from the goal line, then it would have been on the plus 38, right? Or plus 37, because typically we spotted about 8 yards deep. Plus 37, we back up 8 yards. Now we're on the 45. 10-yard end zone makes 55. It was going to be a 55-yarder if we would have taken the timeout.
Right. So,
and then after the 5-yard penalty, then we decided to run the fake punt. I don't know. I'm not sure. That's a question that Kirk will be asked. And I did find myself wondering, was that all at our specialty teams coaches urging, or was Was that a call by the head coach, or did that come from the ST coach? I don't know. It'd be interesting to know.
I said that earlier before you jumped on, Don. I said, I don't know who made that call. Was it LeVar Woods? Was it Brian Ferentz? Was it Kirk Ferentz? Here's what it reminded me of, Don, and maybe you'll remember this. 2015, Iowa State in Ames, into the first half, and Iowa runs the football, and I don't know where they were, maybe in the 20, 25-yard range, yard line range, I should say. And Iowa let the clock run all the way down to about 3 seconds. They send on Marshall Kane to kick a field goal. He fakes the field goal and gets down to the 5, but the problem was they let the clock run all the way down, and that was the end of the half. They came away with 0. Yeah. And I think the logic was, well, we want to make Iowa State believe that we're kicking a field goal, so that's why we're going to let the clock run down. But the problem is, you know what the problem is, so...
Yeah, actually, there's a lot of it's a good strategy if you think about it. Let's just talk about fake field goals in general. Would you rather call a fake field goal and have the team run on the field, and now the clock says 20 seconds still, and there's still a lot of time left? In other words, the offense is not in a particular hurry. There's a lot of time to maybe holler out if you're a defensive player, what's the fake? Maybe it occurs to you, you know what? That would be a decent call on their part is to run a fake. The better way to run the fake, as you mentioned, is to hold your kicking unit for a little bit, rush them out on the field, and then run the fake because they don't have time to remind everybody it might be a fake. Now, the key, of course, is you got to be able to snap it before the clock goes to 0.
Right.
And obviously we didn't get that done. But that's a good way to do it, is to not give them a lot of time to communicate about what might be happening other than a field goal.
Don, it was a pretty good throw from an Australian punter.
It was, but I was hoping for a 55-yard attempt because I think Shudak might very well have knocked it through, and I would have been okay with another pooch punt. That would have been fine too. But I wasn't interested in going for it with the fake on 4th and 9. I'll say that, because there was no deception really in the play. Not really.
Don, we have a phone call for you. Thank you for calling Iowa postgame with the Voice of College Football. Who do we have on the line?
Joe. My opinion or question was, when Iowa did kick that field goal, like at Iowa State that you were talking about.
Yep.
I think that was the 4th down, so they either made it or they didn't.
Right, but the thing was, had they had time on the clock, they would have gotten the first down because they were out towards like the 20, 25-yard line. So if they had given themselves more time, they could have faked the field goal, then gotten a new set of downs. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The way I understood it, though, at the time was that they had to make well, I guess, yeah, because the clock was running out, so they had to make it, or otherwise they wouldn't have. Okay, thanks. Have a good one.
All right, appreciate the call, Joe. No, that's good. And I think if I recall from that play in 2015, Iowa was also running the football leading up to that fake. And so that was also kind of odd. If you're going for a touchdown, why are you running the ball with under a minute to go late in the first half? But anyways, I didn't mean to bring that game back up, but a good mind from the caller there to remember that game 6 years ago.